Welcome to Business in the Black, the podcast where ideas become plans, plans become actionable items, and actionable items become results. We're the go-to resource for Black entrepreneurs ready to build, grow, and dominate their industries. Each episode delivers real stories from real founders, their wins, their struggles, and the game-changing lessons that fuel success. From funding strategies to scaling secrets, we're serving up the knowledge, connections, and inspiration you need to transform your vision into victory. This is where Black excellence meets business mastery. Let's get to work. All kids need is a little help, a little hope, and someone who believes in them. Irvin Magic Johnson. Welcome back. I know it's been a couple of weeks since, we've had a podcast episode, but so much has happened in life. I won't even get involved in how much it happened, but just know that a lot has happened. I mean, a lot. But in any case, we're so happy today to have Anthony Bryant. He is the founder and president of the Knee High Foundation. He's still the president, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's still the founder and the president of the Knee High Foundation. And Anthony and I go way back, like 4 flats. I mean, several different ways. But the most important way is this is my line brother. I've already explained to you all that I'm the bruz. And so, this is my deuce dog. He was right behind me, if you don't know what that means. So that means that, I'm ahead of him. I mean, however you want to look at it. But in any case, we're so happy to have him here today. As you all know, I believe in promote my people before I even move out to anybody else. So as we're starting this second half of season 1, I had to come down here to Opelika, Alabama, and meet with Anthony Bryant. You all welcome Anthony. So Anthony, take us back to 2017. When you founded the Knee High Foundation, what was going on in the community? What was the call to action for you?
Specifically at that time, it was there was a lot of violence going on with the youth. It was like some type of going back and forth about gang stuff going on, and a lot of kids were getting in trouble or being locked up or killing. There was just a lot of stuff going on with the youth. So, that was one of the main catalysts for me starting the Knee High Foundation.
Gotcha. Okay, and so, when you started it, you're looking at mentoring, you're looking at, was it football back then? I mean, what were you doing?
Well, at that time, it's crazy because it kind of came together. I was coaching rec league at that time, so I always had a passion for football. And it was just like, okay, let's try to see how we can combine these two together to see what, add football in with community service and giving back and all this type of good stuff that we do. So, but it kind of worked out. They ended up going hand to hand. So.
Okay. So, in our earlier conversations, you mentioned, seeing the kids multiple times per week versus the traditional 1 to 2 times monthly because, stuff gets to falling off with mentorship programs. Right. So what convinced you that this frequency would be crucial to making a real impact in the community?
You see the difference. Like I said, the proof is in the pudding. We deal with these kids, especially with it being with football, we go from, just say, April to December. And we're constantly with these kids 2 and 3 times a week, 4 and 5 hours a week, so we're constantly with these kids. And we're not just talking about football. We're also talking about school behavior. We're also talking about what's going on at home. It's not just about football. It's personal. So we have a very hands-on approach when it comes to mentorship.
When you started the Knee High Foundation, it was, primarily like a football program.
Yeah.
So, it was all about the football and the young men and the, mentoring the young men and all of that. Like I said, that was back in 2017. Now you've evolved and grown it to cheerleading and etiquette training and all of these different things to include, to be more inclusive, if you will, So what observations or feedback, prompted this expansion?
We just wanted to do more than football. We added cheer, and think it was 2019. We added cheer, and then we started doing things that were, catered towards the young ladies as well. So we started doing etiquette training. We started doing. We had financial literacy classes. We had. We've done community cleanup. It's just so much that we've done with the kids, just the girls and the boys. But if we could reach the boys, then we could also reach the girls as well. And football and cheer again go hand in hand. So mentoring with football and cheer is it's a win-win situation.
Okay. Just for those, audience members who have no idea what I'm talking about when I say the Knee High Foundation, give us what is the Knee High Foundation?
It's a nonprofit organization where we mentor kids, like you said, what we've been talking about, through football and cheer. So we've done a lot. We've done a lot. It's a way to reach kids. It's a way, and through reaching them, it's through sports, which a lot of kids love. A lot of kids gravitate towards sports. A lot of young ladies want to be cheerleaders. So we use that to reach these kids, and also we use that to hold them accountable. Hey, look, if you're gonna mess up in school, then hey, look, you can't play. Or if you're gonna mess up in school, then hey, look, you can't cheer. And a lot of times that works. And back to the mentoring part, we also, we go up to the schools and we do pop-ups. So that's another part of the mentoring aspect. So we're constantly involved with these kids.
All right, so word on the street is, we're in Opelika, you're an Opelika Bulldog, you graduated from Opelika High School, and some people say that you played pretty well. You may have even gone to college to play football, but either way, I think they're all rumors, but it is what it is. I don't think he's been nowhere, But in any case, from your own football experience, through high school and college, what lessons from those years do you find yourself passing on to these kids now beyond just the athletic skills?
Nobody's gonna hand you anything. You gotta go earn it. It's not given. You gotta go earn it. I walked on at Mississippi State. After my freshman year, I was on scholarship that next year, and I earned it. I literally had to get it from the bottom of the barrel because I was an out-of-state player. I wasn't on scholarship. So everything that I had, I literally had to earn. I had to get while I was there. And it caught the attention of the coaches, so I ended up on scholarship. So one of the biggest things I pass on to them all the time, I'm telling you, look, stop being entitled. You're not entitled. You gotta go get it. You gotta go get it. If you want it, you gotta go get it. Nobody's gonna hand it to you. But our young generation now it's an entitlement there.
Mm-hmm.
It's an entitlement there. So neither here nor there. That's another story. But that's what I would pass down to them. You gotta go get it. You gotta go earn it.
Nonprofits, that's a world of its own. You got to raise everything that you have. If there's no basically no funnel of money coming in if you don't go out and get it. So, take us back into those early days, when you were reaching out to potential sponsors and, being, brushed off. How did those early rejections, affect you personally and, even with, knowing if you want to do this?
Early rejections, you still get rejections now, but, the way they shaped me back then was because of the fact that the mission had to go on. So, that's one of the biggest things about being a nonprofit is that you have to secure your donations. You have to secure your sponsorships in whatever aspect you're trying to run your nonprofit. You have to have help. So, I was brushed off a lot, due to the fact that, especially in the beginning, because nobody knew who I was. So, I got a lot of I'm gonna give you my money, and where's the proof of what you're doing, But as time went on, like this 8 years in the game, so as time went on, people began to see, okay, well, he just gave away 1,000 book bags. He just gave away $500 scholarship to seniors. He just gave $1,000 away for scholarships to seniors, or he just gave another $500 to seniors at this school for a scholarship, or so they saw the proof of what the donations were doing, So I mean, you had to build that trust. I mean, I understood that. It wasn't. I didn't take it as a slap in the face as I got brushed off in the beginning, because I knew I would feel the same way. Hey, look, why am I giving you my money?
Right.
What do you have for me to make you want me to give you my money and my donations and my time? So that was the biggest thing, just earning everybody's trust. The rejections didn't bother me because I knew they would come eventually due to the fact that we were a nonprofit. We were 501c3, and a lot of times that's what people want to know, so they can use that in their tax write-offs or whatever. So that was the biggest thing. Being brushed off really didn't bother me. It was just more so of it's a continuous process, and sometimes it gets tiresome because you don't want to continue to go to the same people. Because you don't want to burn them out. You don't, so it's, but then the ones that really believe in your mission because, the ones that really believe in your mission because they donate every year. I've had some of the same sponsors for 8 straight years, and I've had new sponsors every year for 8 straight years. So, you just have to continue the process. So that's one of the biggest things about it being a nonprofit.
So you mentioned, building it or getting it out of the mud. Can you share, like a specific moment to where the struggle felt like most real to you?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, man. When we first started up, it was based around football. So we had to secure helmets, because I kind of jumped out. I jumped out there in the beginning without knowing what I was doing. I was new, and at that time, the guys that I started with are seniors in high school now. So, it was, I promised helmets. I promised we would provide shoulder pads. I promised we would provide, I more so because it was just me and Therese Thomas at that time. So I promised we would provide all this stuff. So we had to go out and get these donations. We had to go out and get these sponsorships. And then, once people started seeing, hey, look, okay. And then that's when, like, back to the donations, they wanted to donate more. So, but that was when I knew I had to get it out the mud. Like, when I promised all this stuff and I didn't have the funds to get it. So I knew it was real. Because people were looking forward to this. We're starting to build something, and we got to have the stuff we need to continue to build.
Got it. Yeah. So we talked a lot about the struggle and getting it out of the mud, but at some point it kind of just blew up. I mean, if you saw these things in real action in real time, you'd be like, oh my gosh, there's so many people, so many kids, so many this, so many that. But what was that first breakthrough moment when you realized that this organization really, hey, I'm on to something. Like, this is gonna survive. I've done it.
I think about in 2000, and I think it might have been 2020, right before COVID. We were a part of a youth football league out of Columbus, Georgia. And on opening day, they have all the kids parade around the track, and they have all the people, show the separate organizations, and it was about 12 organizations that day, and it was 2 out of Columbus that had 200 plus kids, and we had about 250 kids at that time. So I knew we had something good going. And it made me feel good to sit and watch us walk around the track as one of the biggest organizations in this league as our first year. So that was when I knew we were on to something.
Now, in our podcast audience, we have people who are, mom and pop business owners. We have people who dream of starting businesses. We have people who have been in business a long time, but just haven't really made that really leap into success. Mm-hmm. So, you talked about, long nights and being something that you wish that you had prepared for a little better. Thinking of somebody who's, again, looking to start a nonprofit, or, like I say, some type of mom and pop where you have to drum up your customers, same thing as drumming up sponsors and all that sort of thing. What does a typical long night look for you in this nonprofit work?
It depends on what the mission is for that day or what the task at hand for whatever's going on. Because I could be dealing with football issues. I could be dealing with admin issues. That means looking for sponsorships, drawing up letters, writing grants applying for grants at, places that accept them. So coming up with aspects of how I want things to run as far as with football and as far as with the nonprofit. It's just nonstop. It's a constant turning wheel. You can't function without having a plan, and that's one of the biggest things about if people looking for starting up a nonprofit. Make sure you got your plan together, because if you have a plan, it'll eliminate some of those long nights. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a plan, so I was up. I guess in a sense, I was flying the plane and building it at the same time. Mm.
Yeah. Wow. Earlier we talked about, you getting it out of the mud, you getting rejections when you're, reaching out to sponsors and trying to build this again. What did you say? Flying the plane and building it at the same time. How did you develop the skills to secure sponsorships, to write grants, and, run these effective fundraisers without, a breadth of experience?
I'll be honest, rejection. I was writing, if I could apply for a grant, if they were 501c3 and they'll let me apply for it, I would apply for it, just shooting in the dark. And if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, and that's how I would learn from getting rejected from before. A lot of times when you're applying for grants, if they reject it, they'll let you know what the problem is so you can go back and fix it. So a lot of times, and then sometimes I would call people who had a nonprofit and I would be like, hey, what would you do with this, such and such, and how would you handle this, such and such, and fundraisers, that's pretty much just calling up somebody who does fundraisers, or you can be creative and do your own with fish fries, cookouts. Car washes. We've done it all. You have to have something going on to have some type of funds coming in to keep the ship moving, because if not, it's just gonna be a stalemate. Mm-hmm. So your vision is just gonna stay there, because I don't care. Every nonprofit has to divvy out some type of money because they have a mission. Your mission is going to require some type of money. So you have to have ways of, putting it out there. And that's why you have those people out there who let you apply for grants. And, sometimes it's not even grants. Some just want to donate and help out because what you got going on.
What would you say is your most successful fundraiser to date?
Probably donuts, Krispy Kreme. That has been our most. We literally, probably around that same year, we had the most kids. We literally did about $22,000 worth of donuts.
Wow. Yeah.
But with Krispy Kreme, you only get to keep. At that time, it was, I think, 80%. Mm-hmm. No, 50. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it was 50%. We got half, so we ended up getting $11,000, and that was our biggest fundraiser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still, that's pretty good.
That helped. That helped get a lot of our equipment at that time. We ended up being able to supply a whole bunch of helmets and shoulder pads very much for the organization. And we've done that for 8 years. We've provided helmets, we provided shoulder pads. We've done that. And then during that time, we also were traveling on the road. We were going to tournaments after the season. So, you had to get those donations to get that stuff done.
So you had to get the donations to get things done. That's pressure. So how do you balance the financial sustainability with staying true to your mission?
Transparency.
You
just gotta be transparent, because you're gonna hear it all. Especially when it comes to money, with youth, you're gonna hear it all, from the good and the bad. You have some people who suspect of it, some people who's 100% for you, and some people who's just kind of like, you think you have bad intentions. So you just gotta, you gotta be transparent with what's going on. You got to show that people who donate to you and people who give you sponsorships and grants and stuff like that, you have to show them that this is where their money is being spent. Mm-hmm. And just got to be transparent, not only with them, but you got to be transparent with the parents and the community as well. And I think we've been pretty good at that. But you're gonna always get the hearsay about this and about that, because it was a bad rap around that type of deal, kid, so you just gotta do it for the right reasons, and all the negative talk, you let it go.
I've been to the football games and seen just how like this whole blowed out thing is going. I mean, so many people around, so many kids around, and you have involved the coaches, the kids, the parents in your fundraising efforts. How do you motivate the entire community to participate in securing the organization's future?
A lot of times we might have incentives within the organization. If your team sells the most, whatever we're doing, or fundraisers the most, whatever we're doing there, they may get a pizza party, or they may get this, or they may get that. And with the community, they see what's going on. Like like I said, it's about trust. Once you gain the trust of the community, then they'll be more susceptible as far as donating. They'll be more, willing to help out. Like I've reached out to people before when, just recently last year, we gained more players. No, actually, I take that back. We had to get new helmets in because our old helmets were outdated. And I reached out to people, and I had other people who helped me reach out to people. And they understood what we had going on. We were in dire need of helmets, and we ended up getting brand new helmets last year from donations and sponsorships, and those certain things. Same thing this year. We picked up more players this year, so helmets wasn't in our budget. So, but hey, make a phone call. Hey, look, this is what we got going on, and there's people out there that's willing to help if you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Awesome. So you giving away over $10,000 to high school seniors, reaching more than 1,000 kids. That's a lot of money. Share a story about one child whose trajectory has been changed through the Knee-High Foundation.
I wouldn't know if their life was changed through the trajectory of the foundation, but I do know I enjoyed watching. It was in our initial years where we gave away scholarships, and the parent that reached out to me, she was really going through something, and it was just kind of like a divine intervention. And I ended up giving her son a scholarship, and I kept up with him all throughout college. He went to college. I saw him. He would report back. He made straight A's all through college. He ended up pledging, and we still talk to this day. He's graduated. He has a great job. And it's those type of stories, or it's those type of incidents that happen. Not only with that, giving away scholarships, we do it every day. Like, we got messages in our phone, like me, not just me, the coaches too, because it's not just me. we got messages in our phone from teachers. Thank you for such and such. Thank you for handling such and such. He came in a different person. That so it's a million stories out there that we could tell about what we've done over 8 years and how many lives we've touched. Even in the football aspect, we got kids now that's had football offers and going to school and at Power 5 schools who still reach back out to us. So, those type of moments are the moments that cover up having to come out of your own pocket to donate to your own cause, or being broke because you would rather put your money here into the foundation and these kids than your own. So, those are moments that those are rewarding.
So the organization does, book bag giveaways, turkey drives, and other community services. How do these initiatives connect back to the core mission of mentorship?
Because we're trying to teach these kids by mentoring them that it's okay to give back. So that's part of mentorship. You have to show that you got to get out there boots on the ground. As everybody's saying now, you got to get out there boots on the ground with these kids to show them, hey, look, we're finna go clean up the community, or we're finna go down here and visit veterans at a veterans home, or we're fixing to go, just whatever we do with them. So I would say we've given away over 5,000 book bags since we started doing book bag drives, and we started in my second year. So we've given away over 5,000, maybe more than that, book bags. I mean, we've done so much, and not to brag or to, because it's not just me, because I can't do all this by myself. I've had help in the beginning, but now it's not just me. So I guess being a mentor, you have to show that, hey, look, if I'm saying, hey, look, it's okay to give back, you have to get out there and show it's okay to give back. You can't just talk it, you got to walk it too.
So, speaking of mentorship and just impact, because that's a lot of what nonprofits, you got to be making an impact in some kind of way. I know you talked about the teachers earlier saying, giving thanks, hey, thank you so much. We saw a difference, this and that and the other. What are the parents saying? Why do they keep sending their kids? Are they, right, what impact are they seeing, directly, about their children and how they've changed since, being a part of the Knee-High Foundation?
Well, I'll be honest with you. A lot of our parents, a lot of our kids, rather, that's in the program, they're they come from single parent homes. So, we're kind of like father figures to a lot of the kids out there. Some of the parents look at us like father figures. Some of the parents depend on us as father figures, and that means as far as speaking to the kids about behavior issues in school, or coming to pick the kids up for practice, or some of the coaches even go to the extent of just taking the kids out to eat or hanging out with the kids. So, it's a deeper aspect of this than just football.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we've been going for 8 years, and I've had parents that have been there for me and still in the program now. Their kids are some of the ones that started with me are now in high school, so they don't even have a dog in the fight, but they're still with me for 8 years. So that's the impact. Like, people keep sending their kids there. Like, we've been going for 8 years. God has blessed us for 8 years to continue this mission. So, as they say, God, He's not gonna bless no miss. So obviously we might be doing something right. Yeah.
So earlier you talked about negativity around like the marketing strategies of nonprofits and what people thought about them. And so how have those criticisms affected you personally, and how do you prevent those from derailing your mission?
You gotta have alligator skin. Like, it has to be. You gotta let it roll off. Like, people gonna say. The majority of the time, people just gonna talk to be talking, and negativity. Because I've had a lot of incidents where people were saying, "Hey, look, money, he's taking money." But then when you say, "Hey, look, you want to see the books?" They shut up. So, and you can't. It's kind of hard to derail. This is not my vision. So, I'm just in place of the mission that God put me here for. So you can't derail it. Like I said, we've been going for 8 years, and we're still at 100+ kids with five other football organizations in this small area, and we're still at 100 kids. So I'm sorry, 100+ if you add the cheerleaders. So I mean, like it has to be some type of positivity or some good things going on for it to continue. Like we're close to 10 years.
Yeah.
We're close to 10 years, and that's that's not easy for any nonprofit. Like that's hard. Like even if you have constant funds coming in, it's still not always about the money. It's other aspects of running a nonprofit. You have to deal with people. So, it's kind of hard to derail something that's from God.
So earlier I referenced, us being members of the greatest fraternity known to man, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And so See It Through is an awesome and awesome poem, man. And that's something that we all know too well. But in any case, what what specific moment, if you will, was there when you like almost gave up and you decided to see it through instead?
Well, there were moments where when we were prepping to go into the football program, we had no knowledge of pretty much what we were doing. And to be honest, we jumped out in the football stage at 9 and 10 years old, which is the hardest age to jump out because you got so many other teams that's already been together, they gelled, they played together, and this was our first time. So, and there were times coming into me being a bruh where I had to use that see it through mentality before I was a bro. There were times I wanted to hang it up. There were plenty of times I wanted to hang it up, and I had Therese Thomas that was like, no, we're not going to hang it up. We're going to push forward with this. We're going to do this. We're going to continue to do this. So, just looking back on not only see it through before I was a bro, but there's been times I had to see it through since I've been a bro. With this foundation, and not just this foundation and football team, but life in general. So, see it through is a very powerful poem, and it can apply to your life. Just take the time to read it.
When you say, not everybody's going to understand the founder's vision, I know you've given a lot of credit to people who are helping you and, that sort of thing now. But, how have you dealt in the 8 years with misalignment, especially from the people whose support you really needed?
You just got to adjust, man, because you don't ever know when it's going to happen. Like, you can have a plan in place all day, but that doesn't mean that plan's going to go according to how it's planned out. So misalignment throws you off, but you have to learn that you can't let it kill the whole mission. You have to adjust, you have to adapt. So if 2 + 2 is not equaling 4 at that time, then you try 3 + 1. So you gotta adapt. You can't let it throw the mission off. So it used to be stressful, used to be worried about it, but now it's just like, okay, that didn't work. We go to the next thing. So
I feel it. Yeah. Hey, I think you've listened to some of our previous episodes because I said something about some math one time about 2 + 2 and 3 + 1 and 5 - 4. I really think that's what's going on. But,
I hadn't checked that one out.
Again, if you're gonna follow somebody, why not follow your ace? But as the founder and president, you talked a minute ago about sometimes you're putting your own personal money into this organization so that it can thrive versus spending your own money on things that you could have spent it on for yourself. Right. So what personal sacrifices have you made that people may not see when they look from the outside?
I made personal sacrifices with my own kids, my own family. Sometimes I put my foundation and the kids before my own kids, which is nothing that I'm proud of. So this has come sometimes with sacrifice. I had to sacrifice things, not only financially, but you're gonna sacrifice sleep. You're gonna sacrifice time. You're gonna sacrifice a lot of things if this is what you truly, 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 truly want to do. And to be honest, every time, even after it hasn't been peaches and cream, man. It's been 8 years. It gets to the point where you want to throw the towel in, but when it's not your vision, God will throw the towel back at you, and He'll tell you when it's time to stop. It's time to, step away or let it be. But I honestly was ready recently, and things happened to where He said no. We got more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
as a leader of young boys, young men, young women, what have you, you've referenced the late Mike Covington as somebody that you looked up to. What qualities did he embody that you're now trying to pass along to the next generation?
Mike was for the community, man. Mike was big for actually, for this area. He started a lot, as far as doing with the kids, having programs for the kids, recreational programs. So, I want people to 20 years, 30 years down the road, if somebody says my name, I want them to remember me in the same way I remember Mike Covington. Because I hold him in high reverence for what he did for the community. He was a great community activist, especially when it came down to, our area, and getting things done for the area. He has the Covington Rec Center is named after him, right? In honor of him, which is, a big deal. So, I guess basically when people think of Anthony Bryant, I want them to think of me as I think of Mike Covington, and I hold him in high esteem.
Yeah. So, building those skills and all the things, how has your leadership style evolved since, founding the Knee High Foundation?
I wouldn't say it evolved. I was 8 years military mind trained coming into this, so I was kind of already. I've been in leadership positions, so in the military, also outside of the military. So my leadership position has always been pretty much the same. It's always if you're going to lead, then you have to get out there and put boots on the ground with the people that's helping you build your vision. You can't just sit out and bark orders and, be the one that, say do this and do that, and you're not helping, So you have to be able to be a follower to be a leader.
Yeah. I mean, following, leading, military, maybe that's why you keep referencing boots on the ground. I hope they ain't trying to charge me no money for that. They really need to be paying me because I'm putting a song out there, but I'm just saying. All right. With the 501c3, you dealing with federal governments, you dealing with, tax, this, that, and the other, all these applications. So, you mentioned having the right paperwork is important. What administrative lessons have you learned along the way?
I've learned how to figure out, do forms. Man, let me tell you, it's 1,000,001 forms out of there. You got to fill that. You got to fill out. They got to be filled out a certain way. They got to be. The wording has to be correct. So it's just it's tedious. The admin part is more tedious than anything. So I honestly try to stay away from it now. So, but it's just. Once you get used to it, doing it, then it's a breeze the next time you have to apply for the same grant, especially if you got it, or if you get some of the corporate grants, which I've gotten corporate grants before up to $10,000. That's a long process. That's a tedious process. They want to know all the way from demographics to how many, certain races you got on your team, your program, so. It's just the admin part is just tedious. So, but once you get it, if you like doing it, then hey, it'll be a breeze. But if you don't like doing it, then it's like blah.
As a Black leader in the community that you grew up in, how, do you feel like, what's the weight of that responsibility while you're, sharing and showing these young people what's possible with their own futures?
Yeah, I guess I look at things differently. I don't feel any weight or any pressure. It's like I'm doing this because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I get enjoyment out of kids doing the right thing, or them coming up to me saying, "Hey, coach, I fixed this," or "I had a good day at school," or just I don't. I guess I get joys out of different things, and I don't let certain things bother me. I guess you get used to it. Like I just don't. It's nothing that serious because it's always about the kids. It's always about the kids. When it's always about the kids, nothing else is that important, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. So, every time you do something, you're doing it for the kids. If you want to teach them life goals or life skills, it's for the kids. You're going out doing fundraisers, you get money for uniform, it's for the kids. So everything is about the kids. So even if you have a bad day, or even if you don't get a grant, or you don't get a sponsorship, you still got to deal with these kids. So it's always about the kids, man.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about, passion. We've talked a lot about, your journey being, the founder and president. You kind of alluded to, there were times that I wanted to give up, but I didn't. You've talked about it being for the kids. You've talked about, this being like a divine thing from God, and like it's your purpose. But you also mentioned, in our previous conversations, having a 10-year cap. So what does that mean for you personally and the organization?
Well, I'm just gonna be honest. From our previous conversation, I said about 10 years, and in 2 years I'm gonna sit it down. But that's my plan.
Yeah.
That's my plan. It may not be his plan. So that's a lot. This takes a toll on you physically. There are health issues physically. That it takes a toll on you, man. Those long nights, those late nights, sleep. Right now I'm harboring left knee replacement. So I got to get it. So. It takes a toll on you physically and mentally if you let it. So, but I think I got about 2 more good years in me, and I'm being honest, I'm probably gonna be done.
So you've played for Mississippi State, so that's a D1 school, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now you have your players, receiving offers from D1 schools. Turn up. How have you prepared them for success beyond the field?
Like I said, as part of the mentorship, we were involved. A lot of the kids that are seniors now, we would go to the schools. We would pop up on them. We would make sure the grades were straight. We actually just had a player who was in our program who should be a senior right now, but he graduated 2025, and he's actually in conversation to be playing for Auburn University this year at running back. So. Also, we have a senior now who has an offer from Cornell University. So we emphasize it's bigger than football. It's always bigger than football. Like I said, we education part of it was very, 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 very important to us. That was one of the things before I move forward, let me say this. We take their progress reports and we base them practicing, them playing games off their progress reports or their behaviors in school. So we try to focus some of our mentorship around school. Mm-hmm. So that's a big thing. Like school is a big thing to us. You can't just come and get D's and F in school and act up in school and then think you're going to still play Saturday or whenever we play. It don't work like that. So school and scholarship has always been big to us.
If resources were unlimited, because, we've talked a lot about, the sponsorships and the helmets and all the things, but if you didn't have to worry about money, What would be the next evolution you'd like to see with the Knee High Foundation?
My own sports facility, sportsplex for us.
Wow.
To have our own football fields, to have our own basketball goals, and we would have a base station there to have programs, after school, tutoring, all that type of stuff would be based at this one location if funds were unlimited. So that means I could get what I want when I want it. So it would always, again, be around about the kids. Like, that's what I would want to have. Actually, I've even pitched that to the mayor.
Speaking for the future, when you look back at this chapter of your life, how will you know that you've, successfully succeeded and truly achieved what you set out to do?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't even have to look back. It's happening now. Like I said, the guys that we started with in 2017, we've had one that's graduated early. All the ones we started with now, they're starting at local high schools, and they're all fixing to graduate, and they're all going to school. So all of this is coming to fruition. So I mean, I won't have to look back when I walk out the door. I can just be happy going out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I ain't gotta look back and reflect on what has happened because I can see it. It's right there. It happened. I saw it from the whole 8 years that we've been existing. So, I'm sure there'll be times that I will look back and say, well, I should have did this differently, or maybe we should have did that differently. But, as far as having any regrets or anything like that, I don't have any regrets because everything has been a lesson or a blessing. It's either taught me to continue to do it this way or taught me not to do it that way. So, again, like I said, I don't think it'll be me looking back to say, hey, look, this is how far we come along, because I can literally reach out and see. Tomorrow, I can literally see my son who was the first dog pound quarterback, who's playing in his senior season against another dog pound player at another school who's a senior, and they're both in the paper at the same time. So, I mean, I can see it. I don't have to look back. So, yeah.
So. All right, so I hope you all have enjoyed and been as inspired as I have by listening to Anthony's story and the Knee High Foundation. We've referenced, football, so he has the Opelika Dog Pound and, all of the kinds of things going on, different teams or what have you. I have to call out what I know. But in any case, like I say, the Knee High Foundation is a nonprofit based out of Opelika, Alabama. And we just are, like I say, so grateful to Anthony for sharing his story and sharing the gems that he has with our audience. Thank you, Anthony.
Appreciate you. No problem. Enjoyed it, and thank you for having me, man. No problem.
Absolutely.
Appreciate everyone for listening in and tuning in. Like we talked about, we are a nonprofit organization. We thrive on donations and sponsorship. So if you would like to reach out to us and donate, we have Cash App with the $ Knee High Foundation, Venmo at knee-high-foundation, and also PayPal at the Knee High Foundation at gmail.com. Thank you.
That's another episode of Business in the Black, where Black entrepreneurs turn vision into victory. Ready for more game-changing strategies and success stories? Connect with us everywhere. Facebook, Business in the Black Pod. YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, Business in the Black Pod, no spaces. Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Business in the Black. Keep building, keep growing, keep winning, and keep building your legacy.